Hello, just waiting for a few more people to join in. I wanted to show you what I've got done so far. Please don't mind all the strings hanging from below. No, I have not woven in any end yet other than my sewing. So I have some of them partially sewed around the bottom here. And I'm going to spin this around so that you can see I do have one cuff done. I'm going to show you how, again, to do the other cuff. I still have some sewing back here to do, as you can see. I did run my granny squares all the way down the length of the bottom and then use the border to tie all of that in together. Again, we have this cuff that we're going to finish up today. I'm going to re-demonstrate how to do the crocheted cuff, how to do the knitted cuff, and then I am going to pick up and do a knitted band all the way up around the neckline and down the other side to match the cuff here. We'll incorporate that around on the front side. So yes, we are mixing crochet and knit. We like to mix all sorts of crafts here. So I'm going to take a minute to get a little drink, and then I'm going to switch my camera around and we will get on this cuff. Been very, very thirsty today. Move some of this stuff out of the way. Get my, oh, that's the wrong button. Flip this camera around so we are looking at my desk. And let me move these items here. We are going to need that white yarn for all the pins. We will use that later. Alright, let me get my sweater down here. I made sure that I am going to be able to upload this to YT. I have absolutely no background music on whatsoever today. And hopefully we can get through this okay without any background noise. How's everyone doing today? We're going to bring us around here to this sleeve cuff. We already did the decreases. Here is where I did the last row. This color round here was the last row on my hexagon. Here I did the granny square decreases, which decreased my cuff down to a smaller opening so I can actually put a ribbed cuff on it. Now for our crocheted cuff, we're going to use the same size crochet hook that we were using for the whole pattern. Survivor, thank you for the follow. Make sure that if you want to catch up on the previous series of this crochet along, you follow me on all accounts. I do have a link tree back on my profile page. If you click that button there, another of the same will pop down here and it will take you back to my profile page. There is a little bell there that you can follow, be notified when I drop videos or go live. There's also a Linktree link right above my videos that gives you access to my YT account, my IG account. We use acronyms on here. Sometimes when you say the names, they push your videos and your lives further back on the shelf so other people cannot find them. Good morning, Becky. How are you? So we're going to go and start on doing this crocheted cuff. I'm going to get you started on how to do the crocheted cuff, and I'm going to take that out because I'm not going to leave a crocheted cuff on. I don't really like the look. And then once I get that done and show you how to get that started and finish that off, I will show you how to start the knitted cuff. And I might be able to knit the whole cuff while we're on here, and I definitely will, before I end the live today, pick up and knit the first row of around the neckband so that everyone can see how I do that. I like to try and keep all of my strings kind of general in the same spot, so we're going to start right here where we ended off with this crocheted cuff. Now you're going to have to remember how many, if you started the other cuff, how many you chained to get started. I start out with a slip knot, or however you like to secure your yarn onto your needle works just fine. You're going to come in and attach to any of these stitches around the cuff with a slip stitch. So we're actually going to insert our needle into both legs of any stitch around the cuff. You can see I've got both legs there. Pull our yarn through and straight on through the loop on the hook. We are now attached to our work, and I'm going to chain about 15. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Maybe not 15 because 10 looks like a long enough sweater cuff to me. So we chain 10. Now what we're going to do is we're going to chain one more for our stitch height. We're going to skip this one and work into this one here with single crochets. So we're going to go into our stitch, do a single crochet, and we are only working through one leg of the stitch here. And it would be considered the back leg because it's the one furthest away from us. And we are going to single crochet all the way back to the last stitch. Okay, and I'm looking here, I see some of my hair in there. I'm sure you guys got hair in your project too. Never fails. We leave a little piece of us everything we make. Well, I think my baby birds flew off. I had baby birds fall out of the nest last week, and they've been sheltering along the side, and I did the last stitch here. And I went out to check on them today, and they are not there anymore. Now, for this last stitch, we are going to take this stitch and one stitch the next stitch over, and we are going to work those together, just like that. Now, we are going to chain one. We are going to turn our work just like you would turn your work in crochet. And we are going to work single crochets down this way, all the way to the end. And then when we get to the end, we will turn it back around and work our way back. This is the type of rib that they use for crocheted cuffs. I'm sure there's many different ways. This is the one that I know. And this is the one that I'm showing you today. Okay, now we are going to turn our work yet again. And I think I turned it the wrong way now. Get this around here. Here we go. And again, we're going to work back across through the back loops only. Do a chain one. And then start back through just the back loops. The furthest one away from you. We're not taking the front side. And it's giving us a little rippled ridge. And I hope my dogs don't start barking because there's no noise to drown out the beast next door. They're being quiet so far. I hope they stay quiet. And again, when we get down to this last stitch here, we're going to go into this one. And we're going to go down into both legs of the next stitch. Pull up our loop. And then pull through everything that you have on the hook. This is going to attach your cuff, and this is going to give you a little rippled cuff around your opening. You're going to continue that all the way around. And if you are liking this rippled stitch, you can also do that around the neckline. You might not want to do 10 stitches. You only want to cover about 1 inch to 1.5 inches. And that would be right around the front, from the bottom front, and go right up around with that, all the way around the neck and back down to the other side. Now the cuffs that I'm going to keep on here are knitted cuffs. So I'm going to take my double pointed knitting needles. And I think I might use my circular for this, if I can find my little one. I think I have one right over here, maybe. And you know, whenever I need something, I know I can't find it, I'll find it after I don't need it. Isn't that the way it always is? I had a small size 8 circular, and I don't know where it's at right now, so I'll have to use my double pointeds. It'll be okay. So all I'm going to do is go through here, and we're going to do what we call a pickup. And we're going to pick up through all of these crochet stitches all the way around. Don't jinx it. Yeah, I know. I can't never find nothing when I want it, Becky. Never, never. I'm missing all of my comments. Sorry about that. You're all done with school for the summer. How did you do on your math exam? Do you have any results back from that? I hope you did good. Hey, Moonchild. Miss Blossom, thank you for the follow. Hey, Cindy. So now what I'm going to do to start off knitting, I'm going to fold this yarn back over on itself about 3 or 4 inches, not like that much. And I'm going to make a little loop here. This is going to be my first stitch. Okay, Becky, I hope you did well. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that little loop, got to move it over here into my other hand, and I'm going to bring it through my stitches. And I'm going to take my knitting needle and put it through both of my crocheted stitches, and I'm going to hold both strands, the tail and my working yarn, together for the next couple of stitches. This is the start of my weave-in, and I'm going to come all the way around this cuff, and I'm going to use multiple needles. These are double pointed for working stitches in the round. Now I'm going to go ahead and drop that tail down, and I'll weave the rest of that in later. I think I'll have hours, maybe days worth of weave-in on this, because I haven't done any of the weave-in on any of the granny squares that I attached for borders. And just continuing on. Let's see how many stitches I got on here. I like to keep an even number. Put 2 more on here. Okay, we're going to let this needle sit here. We're going to grab another one and do the same thing around this way. I think this one's a little big. Yeah, hold on. No? Maybe this one's a small one. It'd be okay. It's not that much difference. Maybe 1/4 of a millimeter. Cindy, I've been really lucky with my yarn choices here lately. I made another sweater like this, and I don't know what it was, but looking at these colors here, they almost look iridescent next to this brown. But when you see them in the skein, let me show you the skein over here, they don't pop like that. It was the colors and the order in which I put the colors, because I can show you here. This is the yarn that I used, and this doesn't, I mean, it looks green, but not like this. It's because I put it next to this in a darker color. Okay. All right, let's hope you did, and let's hope you did really, really good. Good morning, Pixie. So, you know, yeah, making the color choices. I did make another sweater like this. It is one of my older TikToks, and it actually showed all the errors. That was the sweater that I talk about all the time, that I had to take all the way apart back to the very back. Yes. So. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do a knit 2, purl 2. Now I'm going to grab my 3rd needle, and I'm going to pick up the rest of these stitches. And this is going to be fun, twisting this sleeve around, working this around. That's going to be the hardest part, because there's a lot of sweater here. A lot of sweater. Yeah, this is a bigger needle. I'm going to see if I have another one over here. It might be, this one seems to be, I don't know, they all seem to be about the same size. Let me see my needle gauge. Because they feel different in size. That's an 8. That's the small one. Shoot, this is a 6. This one's got to come out. I will slip the stitches over or knit them off. That's why the other ones felt big. So I do have one small needle on here. So we'll switch that one out. We'll knit them off onto another one and it'll be fine. Let me get back around here. Let's see how many. I got to get 4 more stitches out of the rest of this, or make a couple so that I end up even with 2 purls. All right, come on, there we go. And I need one here, and see if I can't squeeze one out of there. And that'll give me an even cuff. I'll end up with 2 purls and start with 2 knits here. I also, since I'm knitting in the round, I need a stitch marker. So I'm trying to get one of my round ones out here. And because I am knitting in the round, I do need to knit one and then put my stitch marker on the inside. I know there's not a lot of people who knit. Let me do, yeah, let's go ahead and put it in right here. Just indication that that's the beginning of my row, just like crocheting in the round. I do want a knitted cuff on mine, and I know this is the crochet along, but I blend crochet and knit all the time. I love it. Comes out very, very nice. The cuffs come out more stretchy than a crocheted cuff, and in my experience and opinion, they have better recall when you wash them. They do go back to a stretchy cuff, not so much in crochet. So I've got to take that gold one out of here. Let me put that over here. We don't want to use that one again. And we are just going to knit and purl all the way around this cuff until we get the same number of rows that we had on the other side. 2 at a time. 2, 2, 2. Trying to knit all the way around. I was working some this morning on my knit along, trying to get a little bit of my sleeve started. You like watching me do whatever I do. I am going to do a video because I've really had a good time doing the Rory sweater. I'm going to put a call out for the next challenge, and I'm going to let my followers challenge me to make the next famous sweater. So I'm going to put that call out. I don't know if I need to put a couple of sweater choices or if I should just let my followers, viewers, watchers, whatever you use to describe yourself here on TikTok. Some are creators, some are more so. I first came here just to watch the videos, just to watch the funny reels. No, this is the easiest part. Okay, Becky, I can get with you after this if you're available, or you can go ahead and send your question in Discord. If not, you know, and it's more a need to be a verbal question, then I can let you know when I'm finished and you can give me a call. Yeah, I know. I really enjoyed doing that. Hey, Horde. So I don't know if there's another. And more so knitted than crochet. I'm more versed in knitted. So, yeah. All right, honey. Yeah, there's no hurry on that. I'm still working on the copyrights on that. This will be row 2 here. I've got to look at my other sleeve and see how many rows I did before I did my color changes. And I need to get my little brown yarn over here and the reef that I just put over there. So I'm going to have to put those stripes in here. And then I'm going to have to get a bigger needle, longer circular. I have a 60-inch circular over here that I'm going to use to pick up the stitches up around the neckband. Oh, I don't know if somebody used a no TikTok word, but somebody's comments got filtered. I do not use any keywords, so if you would like to rephrase your comment, I would love to be able to answer or respond. Is that you again, Becky? Becky's always getting filtered. Welcome in, everyone. I am working a hexagon cardigan. I am putting knitted cuffs on the sleeves. I don't know. It was the comment right after, okay, I can get with you after this. I don't know if you said anything after that. I know I'm turning this because this sweater is massive. I'm kind of having to make it as easy as I can without having to pick up the whole sweater and flop it around here. So this is round 2. When I get done this round here, I'm going to have to look at the other sleeve and count how many rows of white. And then how many rows of reef and brown. I know I only did 1 row of brown, and I think I did 2 rows of reef. And then I went back to the white. Okay, what do we do? 2, 2, 2. Okay, we don't know how to count. We were fine. I saw an odd number of stitches and I was like, whoa, but we're good. Okay, that's 2 rounds. Let me find this other sleeve under here. Where is it? Okay, let's see here. Okay, well then it wasn't you. It was somebody after you. Hopefully they're still here and they can comment. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Let me get a little card here so I can make a little notation. Get my pen. 12 rows. White. We've got 2 rows of the brown. And then we've got 1, 2, 3 rows of the reef. And I'm going to show you how to get your stripes to not have the purl dashes in them. When you do stripes and knitting, and I know this is a crochet along, but I mix match both of them up together. When you do your first row, when you do your color change here on this brown, you knit that row. And then you go back to your knit 2, purl 2. Same thing here. When I change to the reef, I knit this row first, the first row of the reef color. When I do my color change, I knit that row. Then I go back to the knit 2, purl 2. It's still just as stretchy as it could ever be, but you don't get your little purl dashes in here from the white, from the color below when you're doing your loops. Put some on the back side. If you do your color change first row where you knit and purl, those purl dashes will be right here, sticking out like a sore thumb. So, yeah, I know. I don't know. I wish TT wouldn't put filters, you know. People can say what they want and we can react how we want to what they said. So, you know, let them say whatever they want. All right, so I'm going to mark down 1, 1 and 2. We'll try and keep a running count here as we go. If not, I will count this rows just like I did off of that other one to double check to see where I'm at. So we're just going to keep going round and round for a while because we have like 12 rows to do. And if anyone has any questions about this sweater, the sweater they are currently working on, yeah. And she was probably in the kitchen cooking at the time, making ice cream, wasn't she? And you can't even say that, I'm telling you. I saw her out on her bike yesterday. I was going to jump in and talk to her for a few minutes because I haven't been in her live for a while. I've been really busy trying to get this done and get the knit along caught up and, you know, get some of my other projects finished. Oh, okay. And again, I am turning this kind of funny because normally you would just keep rotating from one needle to the next. But this sweater is massive. And yeah, it'd be too much to flip the whole sweater all the time. So I'm twisting and untwisting this sleeve as I go. Yeah, I know. It's probably because you don't is why. It's not used to you talking like that. I'm kidding. I don't know. It's just whatever. It's just whatever. So we're just knitting around, and I know I'm not even in camera frame. I need to take this up just a little bit higher so that you guys can see. I think we all do. I think we all do, Becky. And I tell you, my next bit of tools that I'm going to get is to replace all of these double pointeds with the Addi Flexi Flips. I absolutely love them. The only size I have right now in the Flexi Flips are a size 3. I plan on purchasing all sizes 1 through at least 12. Those are the ones that I use a lot. Or 1 through, or yeah, the 1 through 13. We don't have a 12. I was going to say, do we have a 12? So around and around and around we go. Where we stop, only I know. I'm very poetic here lately. I don't know what's going on. My husband laughs at me. Yeah, did you see the other sleeves, Cindy, on the other side? I actually had this up on the dress dummy, and I'll probably throw it back up there and show everyone before I leave off if I can get the 60-inch circular to hang right and not pull the stitches off. Oh, you're talking about the Flexi Flips, yeah. The Flexi Flips, no, I don't think they come in a set. This is the Flexi Flips here. And these are a size 3. I use these for socks. You get 3 needles. You put your stitches on these 2. But then when you're working, these 2 are already open. So all you need is a 3rd needle to work the stitches on these 2. So yeah, they're very nice. They're very flexible. You don't have these sticking in between your fingers like these do. So they're just a more natural grip for me. But I love them more than these. So I definitely want to get all the sizes for sure. And that's going to be my next work on here to add to the tools of my trade. But yep, I do have a website that I will be promoting as well. I'm going to end up putting a little, like a name plaque on my desk with my website on it so everyone can see that. I do need to add to my lookbook, which adds some past things that I have made. And I want to try and find out how to put a custom order button on there. I'll have to figure out, probably from photos, 2 different types of men's and women's custom sweaters or cardigans that I can make that I will offer up as a custom form that you can choose colors, textures, all different things that you might want on there. And I need to figure that out so that when I get ready, that stitch didn't come all the way through, to open my customs back up, I'll have an ordering spot on my website, and that's where I will send everyone to place their order for a custom sweater. Just the sound of progress, needles clacking together. And I'm hoping next week I can show you a new desk. Still going to be the same desktop. I'm going to have a shelf up on the top so it takes everything up off of my desk. So I actually have a full open desk, so I'm not limited because I've got things sitting on it. And probably when I get this crochet along done, you'll see me working back again on that dragon diamond art. I am going to frame it, and I am also going to light it up. I think it's going to look phenomenal when I get done. I bought a little set of lights the other day when I went out to what my mom and I call the 5-quarter store now. And I got a little set of white lights. I've got some other lights coming in, different colors that I want to use that correspond with the colors that are in the diamond art. And when I light it up and do all of that to it, I will do it right here on TikTok. Might be a little harder to do it here on this table, so I might have to move over to another table with all the cutting and stuff that has to be done to build up underneath, so I've got room to put the lights so that it also creates space for any heat that the lights might create to escape. So yeah, I'm really hoping, Cindy, that it makes it jump off the canvas. I hope it really makes it like almost like a 3D effect, but not just with the lights. I'm hoping that it's going to do what I see in my mind, but we'll figure it out. A little bit of light and a little bit of shadow might be able to create the effect that I'm going for. Anyone have any questions with their cardigan that they're currently working on? Let's see how many we got here. 1, 2, 6, 7. We got 5 more rows to do. sure I'm doing my knit and purl until we get to the color change. And I've got to find that little ball of brown yarn. The reef is right here. Getting stuck on the crochet hook. Put that away. That one didn't catch the whole thread. All right, let's spin this one around again. There's one, I think. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, there's one. 4 more. And then I'll show you how I do the color change. And I knit that row. And then go back to the knit 2, purl 2 on the second row. And I'll show you what I mean if you do a knit and purl, so everybody understands why when you're doing a knit 2, purl 2, or any knit rib, when you change colors, you're going to want to do a knit row on that first row of the color change. Then every row after that you do your ribbing, whatever count you're using. I hope I'm staying in camera frame. Okay, Becky, I know you're probably already gone. So many crafty Melanies, yes. I think Melanie is a crafty name. I really do. But there are a lot of crafty people that aren't named Melanie. That's okay. Melbell, thank you for the follow. I am here to teach knitting and crochet, the basics. I'm here to help beginning knitters step out of their comfort zone and try something new. I think the next knit along, because we're working on just knit and purl stitches now with a stockinette stitch sweater. I think the next knit along we are going to move into some textures or maybe even some color work, which a lot of people think that's a big jump. But we've practiced the knit stitch so much that the color work we're going to be doing is all knit. I do have a pattern in mind that I'm going to emulate and try to create another pattern the same as that. I do not want to use another crafter's pattern, especially a paid pattern, to teach a class, because then you all would be required to pay for the pattern. I just can't, pay for patterns and teach a class full without them obtaining the pattern the way they should. So I am going to create a pattern of my own, and we will do a mosaic knit, which I believe, in my opinion, to be a very beginner's color work style. I love it. I actually worked my first mosaic knit with that opposite views wrap I want to do something along the lines of that. I need to look a little bit more at the engineering of mosaic knit before I can actually design a pattern. I mean, I can design a pattern. I just have to know how to to follow the chart, which to slip, which to knit. So I will look at that opposite views wrap pattern again before I get another knit class started, and we'll go from there. And I have some really gorgeous yarn that I want to use that I bought from Xander's Cottage. Some hand spun and hand dyed. So gold and yellow. The yellow has a sparkle in it, and I really want to make a really pretty wrap for myself. Out of it, I think it would be very nice. All right, let's see where we are now. 2, 3 more rows, and then we'll do the color change. And I'm going to stay on here until I get the sleeve done because I want you to see how I cast off. If you are a crocheter, there are multiple different crochet cuffs that you can do. Again, Pinterest and YouTube are really good resources to look up videos for just that. Crochet cuffs. I might do a couple tutorials on a couple of different crochet cuffs. I need to get the rest of my tutorials uploaded. I know I do have them on here, and I just didn't get them all uploaded because the first two, they kind of uploaded at the same time. It took an hour and a half to upload two under a minute tutorials, maybe 2 minutes tops. Here I am knitting all the way across. Talk, 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 and knit, knit, knit. I gotta back up. But yeah, make sure I'm staying over here in camera frame too. So yeah, I really am here to help crafters level up their skills, assist with any pattern issues that you might run across, stitches that you don't quite understand. And I know for me, it took me years to step outside of my comfort zone and saying, I don't need a pattern. I can make anything I want. I absolutely had to have a pattern for everything up to about 2 or 3 years ago. And I'm being honest. It is a long time for an upload for TikTok, isn't it? So I was like, okay. So I've got 2 more to upload. I think I went through and did all of the crochet stitches individually. And I've got a couple more to upload. I did the videos, I just didn't upload them yet. Alright, I think we got 2 more rows. We're going to do this one and do another count. And then our 2 color changes. Making sure I knit 2, purl 2 across that row, or across that needle too. Might have my husband stop and pick up some potatoes on the way home. I'll make some soup tonight. Feels like a soup night. It's cold. Go in there and make some homemade bread bowls and put some soup in them for dinner. And I didn't even write down how many more rows of white after the reef. I just looked at that. And I'll have to measure how wide one of those granny squares are, because that's how wide I need to make my front band. 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. One more. One more. We want our cuffs to be the same length. And then we will do our color change on the next row. I need to find that brown yarn really quickly as soon as I get this row done. And everybody says, oh my goodness, you got 3 needles in there, 4 needles in there. I'm only working with 2. The other 2 are just hanging out. The friction of the yarn keeps it trapped in from falling out. My stitches are comfortably snug around the needles so I can get the next one in, in the next stitch. And I hope that when everyone gets their crocheted hexagon done, they can send me a picture. I would like to do a photo video with everyone who did the crocheted cardigan along with me as a little, indication of what we do in our crochet and knit alongs. Okay, we are back to where we're going to do our color change. Let me find, and very quickly, 1, 2, 3, and a cast off. So we need 3 rows of white after. All right, let me find this brown very quickly. I know, or I thought, making sure I don't have any dogs underneath of me, that I had put it in the yarn bowl, and it is not in the yarn bowl. I know I only had a tiny little bit of it left. And I don't think that's the same color. And I thought I had bought a whole bunch of it when I started this project. Just where on the shelf did I put it? That is the question. Too many cubbies. Too many cubbies. Oh, this is not what I like about having a whole lot of yarn. I think I found one. Here it is. And yes, I'm starting with a whole nother skein for just a little bit because I haven't a clue where that little ball of yarn went. It was about as big as that, a little bit bigger, and it had probably been enough to done about 2 rows. Watch me find it later when I get done. All right. So for our color change, let me pull a little of this out and make sure I don't have any issues with the other end. I'm going to lay this over here. We have 2 rows of this brown. So what I do is almost like color work, I'm going to catch my floats with this white yarn for a little bit. And that's the floating yarn, so we're going to catch this. That's why they call it trapping the floats. And again, here's my loop for my first stitch, just like I did with my pickup. And I'm going to work with 2 strands, the working yarn in the tail, for a couple stitches. And I am knitting all the way around this first row. Okay, there's my couple of stitches. We are going to drop that tail, and we are going to go ahead and cut this white yarn off, leaving about 3 to 4 inches so that we can weave it back in later. Tuck that into the inside. Now we're just going to continue to knit all the way around this row. Now I'm going to show you what would happen if I did a knit and purl rib. We're going to go ahead and purl these next 2 stitches. Okay, and then I'm going to knit the next 2 stitches. I will take this back out. I'm just doing this to show you exactly what it does. You see here, it puts 2 white dashes up here at the top, 2 brown dashes underneath, and you will have that in every purl rib all the way around. So this is why I do a knit row on the first color change all the way around. And then I go back to my ribs, whether it's a 2x2, 1x1, whatever combination I'm working. Now you must remember you only do 1 row of knit on the very first row of color change and go right back to your rib. I did the same thing on the other sleeve cuff, and you can see it didn't affect the look of the ribbing at all. It didn't affect the stretchiness of the rib, but it did take out those little mixed dashes from where you have the purl stitching, which the loop of the last stitch of the white row shows up on the brown, and the brown shows up in the white row. We avoid that altogether by doing a knit row first on our color change. So as I'm going along with these little projects, I'm teaching you little tips and tricks that I have locked away that only come back to me as I'm actually doing exactly that, what needs to be done to, you know, up the ante, make it look a little more finished, polished. I don't want to say professional. I don't want my stuff to look professional. I want it to look handmade. But, you know, there are certain things that we do that make it look more polished, more professional. All the way around with the knit. I really want a rib because, yeah, I'm on a cuff. Okay, so we have 2 rows. So we got 1 row, 1 more row of this, and we're going to do our rib. So we're coming up here where we've completed our first round. Now we're going to go back to our rib. Make sure you're mindful on this row how many knits, how many purls, because the reminder is not there now because everything is knitted from the last row. So I'm doing a knit 2, purl 2. If anyone here currently does not know how to knit and would love to learn how to knit, I do teach basic stitches for both knit and crochet on Mondays. Okay, yeah, I'm getting ready to confuse myself because I'm looking to see if I need to purl and I see a knit next, and I was getting ready to knit it, honestly. But we caught it. And every needle starts with a knit and ends with purls. Okay, after this row, we're going to change to the reef. We got 1 more needle to work over. And then we will be back to the start. Cindy, I'm going to share all the tips that I can possibly share that'll make it easier for the beginning knitter or the more experienced advanced knitter that might not know all the tips and tricks. You know, why not share? Why? I was, you know, I found it, but someone else shared it with me, so why not? All right, so here we're getting ready now to change again. So I'm going to be doing that trapping the floats technique again. And I think just like I did with the other one, I'm going to pull through until I start getting some of this green, because I really want some of this green in this, and I'm only going to have 3 rows of it, so I get to pick what color I want in there the most. Again, this row we are going to do a knit all the way around. So over here, do about 3 stitches, and then we will leave this tail and we'll cut this off, leaving about 3 to 4 inches, which is what I like to leave, because I will take a sewing needle and I will weave in my ends with a sewing needle. It's easier than a crochet hook. And we've got 3 rows of the reef to do. So I'm going to do 1 row in knit, 2 rows in the knit 2 purl 2 rib. And you'll see how this dull green turns into a bright green after we get that white on here after these 3 rows. One more row and we'll go back to our rib for 2. And then we'll have 3 rows of the white, and then I will cast off. And then we'll look and see what time it is. I will pick up the stitches around the front the same way that I picked up the stitches for here, but I'll go all the way up the front from one border edge, all the way up around the neck, and all the way down the other side. I got to get this brown out of here before I end up dragging this all the way around. There we go. Now we're back to our knit 2 purl 2 rib for 2 rows. Making sure to keep our tension tight when we're working double pointed needles. That was another thing that just came to me. The first couple of stitches I will work tight on the end and at the beginning of these needles to prevent what they call laddering, because you are transitioning from one needle to another, and I'll show you that when I come over here. If you don't control your tension, you will have wider open gaps because of the fact that you are transferring between 2 different needles. Here is where, let me get this turned around so I can show it to you really good. If you don't control your tension in between here, this opens up and it looks wider than the rest. So the last 2 stitches on here I will work tight. It's almost automatic for me when I do this. And then the next 2 stitches I work fairly tight. You can hear it squeaking, and then I'll go back to my regular tension for the rest of the stitches until the last 2 at the end of the row. I do this all the way around every row unconsciously because it has just become muscle memory when I work with double pointed needles. Beginners, you will notice that you will end up with wider gaps in here between where your needles transition. Once you take it off, don't worry too much about it in the beginning. Once you take that off and it gets moved around, it starts to, the further you work the row up, it starts to come together too, because this is worked like this and it works that loose right on out of it. So don't stress over that part too much as you're working. All right, let me continue on here. How did I get that looped around there? We don't need to be dragging any more of that out of that skein. Working those 2 stitches at the front of the needle and 2 stitches at the end of every needle on double pointed, it helps to take up the slack throughout the row. Especially when I'm working like this and I'm constantly doing this, it's working all of those fibers loose and relaxed all the way through. All right. We have one more row, and I'm going to give me a puzzle. There's your answer to your puzzle. They take forever to verify. Thank you. We are on our last row of rib with this, and then we will switch to the white for 3, and we will cast this off. And if nobody has any questions about how to do the collar band, I probably will end after I cast this off, but I am going to go ahead and continue and finish the sweater off. And again, I will turn it inside out, and I will have a couple of days of weaving in ends on all of those squares. And I have to finish sewing the squares around the bottom end border because I haven't got those all sewed together yet. Just enough so that I could do these. If I did the collar band, I could get started on that. We're going to try and keep this to, you know, an hour, hour and a half. One more knit. There we go. I'm here for anybody's questions, and it doesn't have to be about the crochet along. It could be about something that you're working on that you just can't quite get figured out. I think this is row number 3. Yeah. So we'll be doing another color change here. I think that little bit of brown I took out for those 2 rows, I don't even think it affected the weight of the yarn, the skein. Alright, now we are going to switch back to the white. You can see how that green looks right now. Once I get this white row, it's going to be like pop. So again, go back here with the white. Let's take that underneath here. And fold it back over itself, make my little loop. If I can get it off my finger, there's my loop. I'm going to put that right on as my first stitch, and I'm going to hold the tail and the working yarn together over the next couple of stitches. And I'm also going to catch this one like as in color work, trapping my floating yarn. And we are working the knit stitch again all the way around. One more stitch here in this white, and we'll drop that tail. We'll cut this reef off. Do one more stitch there. And that reef is now attached under there. And tuck that one down in. And we're ready to do our last 3 rows on our cuff here. I know. The most ends I ever had to weave in was on that Philadelphia Eagles blanket that I did. And I know that those of you that have been following me for a while, you've seen that blanket. Oh my gosh, there was a lot of color changes in that corner to corner blanket. And I've discovered a way that minimizes down the amount of cutting of strings that you have to do when you do. There was a lot. We did something there on that stitch because we've got a little bit. It's the one before. We split the, there we go. We had a green string in there because we split one of the strings below. And I got to remind myself that I am still knitting all the way through this white color change row here. Hey Apache, how are you? Working a crochet along, finishing up a crocheted hexagon cardigan. And this cardigan already has a home. Already has a home. Alright, we go back to our knit and purl for 2 rows. And my cuff will be done. I will cast off the cuff. And then I will hang this back up. Everyone will get a chance to look at it one more time. And then I will be finishing it up. I will post a video of the finished cardigan when I get it done. And then as everyone else, if they're willing to, for me to share their work, I'd like to see, you know, anyone who's followed along when they finish, send me your pictures of your finished cardigan. I would love to do a compilation with everybody's finished hexagons and put it up on TikTok. I'm definitely going to have to take pictures of this and put it in my lookbook on my website. Again, that's myspot@yourspot.com. Almost all the way through row number 2. We got one more row to go. And then I will cast off in pattern. It keeps it nice, keeps the cast off edge to the top of the cuff and not rolled over to the side. One more row. Famous last words. Oh, I hope you have a wonderful day too, Apache. I'm doing really good. I'm crafting. I feel better than I did yesterday and the day before that. So I'm enjoying a lower pain level today. A lower pain level. Notice I said no pain. I wished I could have no pain, but yeah, I'm afraid of that wish. Alright, 2 more needles and then we're going to do a cast off. Knit across this needle, or knit and purl. We're still doing our rib. Yeah, a little sigh of relief. And then we get to do this same pattern around the total front neck band of the sweater. So that'll take a little bit more time than just an hour. So I'll probably work on that a little bit this evening. I have some laundry and stuff I need to do today. Trying to stay busy because it's a rainy day and just, you know, distract myself. All right, we have our 3 rows. We're going to go ahead and cast off. So now we're going to cast off in pattern. To cast off, you have to work the first 2 stitches. And take my stitch marker out because we don't need it anymore. Then you're going to take the first stitch, pick it up on your needle from the left hand, and you're going to pass it right over the stitch ahead of it. Now our next stitch is a purl, so we're going to purl that stitch, and again we're going to come back to the back side, get our needle underneath the loop behind the stitch we just did, and pass it over that front one. Again, next stitch is a purl, so we're going to purl that stitch, pass this off in pattern. Now we're back to the knit stitches. We're going to do that all the way around. Knit and then pass the stitch over. Now we're back to purls, and all the way around we're going to do that. The reason why I cast off in pattern, I've noticed that if I knit and cast off, I don't mind knitting a cast off if the pieces are getting sewn to another piece, because it gives me a nice stitch area for seaming stuff together. Now with this being a raw edge, if I did cast this off all in knit stitches, it would roll, and I'll show you once I get this needle out of here. Roll my top edge, and I'm going to pull that a little long there, to the side, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. You look at this cuff looking straight down, you can see your row of knit. It almost looks like a crocheted chain. Okay, and that stands right on top of the cuff, so it lays nice and flat. I have done a knit cast off on sleeves, and it will roll that cast off edge like this, so you see these stitches on the side, and it actually will flare your cuff out. So whenever I'm casting off and there is a knit purl pattern, I will follow that pattern from the last row, and it gives me a nice straight cast off. I can also show you that on this other sleeve. It'll show you that very well. You can see how it lays right across the top. Nice and flat right across the top. So you have a nice finished cuff, and you will have this weave. You can see the indent of the purl rows. It'll give you that nice little, not quite wavy, but you know, matching edge. So that's why I cast off in pattern. So we are going to go ahead and twist this on around and get this back on our other needle and keep right on going. All right, we need to get that back to the back because this is a knit stitch. I'm doing the knit and purl all the way around the cuff, casting off. No, don't you start. You've been good up till now. Don't you start. Thank you. I hear the birds chirping outside. He wants to get at those baby birds so bad. I just warned the lawnmower guys. I can't believe they came and mowed the lawn in the rain, but anyway. I had to warn them about the baby birds that fell out of the nest. They've been out there all week. I went out to go check after they left, and there's snowbirds over there. Maybe the lawnmower scared them enough to make them take flight. I was wondering how the mommy was going to teach them to fly from the ground. It's a little harder, I think, normally once they get a certain age, then mommies push them out of the nest. So, well, I'm glad. I'm glad, Cindy. That helps you up your skill level. And I try to share something new every time I come on, because I know Mondays are getting kind of monotonous for me with the same stitches over and over and over again. I might change that up to the point to where I just come on certain times, or not even have a schedule. I'm just on, and if you catch me on, then you know you'll learn something new. I have discovered that 3 days a week trying to schedule something here on TikTok is too much for me. And I know that sounds really small, but it is too much for my health and everything else. Now, I've got that cast all the way off, and we have to secure this together. Handy dandy crochet hook right in that knit stitch. And we are going to come right over here to this next stitch, which would have been our next knit stitch, but it was our first cast off. And we are going to secure this right into here very carefully with a slip stitch. And then I chain my 2. And then again, I cut off a long tail for weaving in. I pull that straight on out with my crochet hook, put my fingers right above where that is, and pinch that down into a nice little knot. And that'll get wove right back down into here, and you won't even know it's there. Now, give you an idea of what that cuff looks like. I'm going to go ahead and put my arm in there for you as soon as I can find the opening. This is a lot of sweater. A lot of sweater. And ignore the strings, but there is your sweater cuff, and this is nice and big and just flouncy as it could be. And there's our other sweater cuff. Alexandra, thank you for the follow. So again, I'm going to go ahead and hang this up on the dress dummy. Watch out, buddy. Watch out. And I will pan the camera back around, and we'll roll the dress dummy around so that everybody can see all of this crochet cardigan here. We'll start from the back view. Let's see. Find our buttons so we can flip our camera around. Turn this around so you can see the cardigan. Here is the extension. Each one of those granny squares was, let me take my ruler here, almost 2.5 inches. Actually, it was 2.5 inches if I get right on the 0. 2.5 inches wide, so that's almost a 5-inch extension on the back to allow space for your neck between the 2 hexagons that were attached to that. I have the granny squares going all the way around the bottom. I have both the sleeves and cuffs done now, which you just saw me finish those up, and they are really nice big flouncy sleeves, of course. Now the only thing that I have left to do is to replicate the cuffs here around the neckband, up all the way around and down the other side. And then my sweater will be complete. I like the way it looks too. I wanted to incorporate these granny squares all the way up the front and around, but then that would really throw the granny squares 2.5 inches up your neck. And I didn't know if that would feel as well as having this ribbed cuff instead. So I like the look of this ribbed cuff, and what I'm going to do around this, because a knit 2 purl 2 rib is really stretchy. You can see how much it brought that cuff in. You know what I'm saying? How much it brought that cuff in to make it stretchy. I'm going to do a knit 1 purl 1 rib up the front and around, and again incorporate those same color changes over here, so it just kind of ties everything all together. So here it is. And I am going to, like I said, break out my big size 9 60-inch Chiago needles. And I will pick up all of those stitches and work them around. Yeah, I think it's really going to be super. So when it gets done, I will do a photo video of this one. I probably will look at past lives and clip some of it and put some of that in with the video as well, to kind of advertise the next crochet along. I might do something a little different. I want to do a different style. We did the granny stitch and the hexagon and the granny squares with this one. I think the next crochet along, I'm going to do something along the lines of a corner to corner crochet and do a picture with some colors. Maybe do a little bag, like a tote bag. I think that would be a neat idea to do with crocheted handles and everything. So it makes it a smaller project, something that we might be able to do a little bit quicker, and it touches on another crochet style, which is really good for doing color work. You work it corner to corner, exactly as it says, and it is amazingly easy. Another repetitive stitch, just like the granny square. So it's, you know, just repetitive, 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 which makes it kind of easy. But when you add different colors into it and a graph chart with colors, it makes it fun. So anyone who wants to follow along, I will be posting that video. I will be helping everyone. If you don't have access to Stitch Fiddle, create pictures of a certain size. If you have any ideas, you can also do something for your kids. Have your kids color on a piece of graph paper, pixelate out the color squares that they've done, and you can turn that into a little tote bag or backpack. We might end up trying to do a backpack too, a crocheted backpack. Now that I've found another way to crochet, my want to crochet has come back to life. I am getting some longer crochet hooks, which more so resemble knitting needles in length, not necessarily the Tunisian crochet hooks. They are just longer crochet hooks, kind of double-ended. I think I got the 14-inch, it might have been the 10-inch. But it will help me do a more knit style crochet, which doesn't hurt my hand, but it's still crochet, but more so like I do my knit. So I will be doing more crochet stuff. My mother saw this sweater today and now she wants one. So I have another sweater to make for my mom. So I'm going to talk to her. I know she wants red. She loves the color red. And I did find some red yarn that I wanted to use to make her one like this. But it is a variegated yarn, and I'm not sure if she wants different colors. But if she does, I can use that as one of the colors in there, like in place of the reef color. I can do a red. I can do the multicolor red with the, I think it's got grays and browns in it. But I can do red, that variegated red, and maybe a gray. And I think that she'd like it a lot. And the same thing with the granny squares. The whole thing the same way. So, here we are. If anyone has any questions on theirs, if they have gotten behind and are not as far along, I am still here after this crochet along to help you. Just hit me up with a message, catch me on live. and we'll get you going. We'll get you finished. So I'm going to go ahead and thank everyone for joining me today. I will be working on this, and I should have it done by the end of the week next week. I do have other projects that I'm also working on. Okay, I'm just getting ready to end, Becky. I can talk to you over Discord. So I will see you over there. Sherry, thank you. And you have a good weekend too. To all of you mothers out there, this isn't Mother's Day weekend, is it? Or is it next weekend? Oh, it doesn't matter. I don't care. Have a happy weekend, all you hardworking mothers out there. This weekend, next weekend. Okay, good. Have a happy, happy Mother's Day. Take a break. Put your feet up. Put your feet in a foot spa. Just do whatever you like. Whatever makes you happy. It's your day. Enjoy it to the best of your abilities. So thank you for joining me today. Have a great weekend. May all your stitch counts match. And happy crafting.